The medical bay doors hissed open at 0300 station time, and Dr. Vellis Karnn knew immediately that her night shift was about to become complicated. Incoming trauma. Priority Alpha. The comm crackled. Species unknown. Multiple catastrophic injuries. ETA 2 minutes. Vellis's 3 eye stalks swiveled independently. A nervous habit from her early residency days. In 15 years working the emergency ward on Station Prometheus, she had treated over 200 different species. Unknown meant trouble. Her assistant, a young Quellan named Borix, was already prepping the trauma suite. His bioluminescent patches flickered anxiously across his translucent skin. Unknown could mean anything. "Doctor," he said, his voice carrying that musical quality his species was famous for. "Last time we had an unknown, it turned out to be a Vraxian with a really bad allergic reaction. Swelled up so much we couldn't identify them. Let us hope for something equally mundane." Ellis replied, though her instincts told her otherwise. The trauma team burst through the doors 60 seconds later, wheeling in a gurney that looked far too small for the drama unfolding around it. 6 medics surrounded the patient, their faces bearing expressions Vellis had learned to dread. That particular mixture of confusion and fear that meant they had absolutely no idea what they were dealing with. "What do we have?" Vellis demanded, moving to the gurney. The lead medic, a grizzled Corthan with battle scars crisscrossing his scaled face, looked at her with something approaching relief. "Found him floating in a damaged escape pod in Sector 7. Life support was failing. He was barely conscious when we pulled him out." The medic paused, his throat sac inflating nervously. "Doctor, we cannot stop the bleeding. Nothing works. The wounds keep opening up. It is like his body is fighting against the treatment." Vellis looked down at the patient and felt her primary heart skip a beat. The creature was bipedal, roughly humanoid in structure, but unlike anything in the medical databases. Pale-skinned, with matted dark hair, wearing torn remnants of some kind of uniform she did not recognize. And covered, absolutely covered, in wounds that made no sense. "Get him on the scanner," she ordered. "Full spectrum analysis. And someone patch into the central database. Cross-reference every known species in this quadrant." As her team moved with practiced efficiency, Vellis began her examination. The wounds were extraordinary, deep lacerations across the chest and arms, burns that showed patterns consistent with energy weapons she had never encountered. Something that looked like chemical scarring, and strangest of all, older injuries underneath. Healed wounds that formed layers of scar tissue so complex it was like reading a history written in pain. "Scanner results are in," Borix called out. "Doctor, you need to see this." Vellis moved to the display and her 3 eye stalks widened in unison. The anatomical structure was similar to 17 different species but matched none of them exactly. The skeletal system showed density levels that should not exist in a biped. The muscular structure was redundant in ways that violated efficient evolutionary development. The brain, by the void, the brain showed neural pathways that should not be possible. "What is this creature?" she whispered. "Database search coming up empty," another technician reported. "No match in any known registry. Should I expand to historical archives?" "Do it," Vellis said, returning to her patient. The creature, him, she decided, because the anatomy suggested male, was conscious now, barely. His eyes opened, and Vellis found herself looking into an expression of pain so profound it transcended species barriers. "Can you understand me?" she asked. Knowing the translation matrix would handle most common languages, the creature's lips moved. A rasping sound emerged. The translator stuttered, caught something, then produced words. "Am I dead yet?" The question was so unexpected, so laden with dark humor despite the circumstances, that Vellis actually paused. "Not if I have anything to say about it," she replied. "What happened to you?" A sound emerged from the creature that might have been laughter, might have been choking. The bio-monitors screamed warnings. "Long story," he managed. "Very long. Started about 300 years ago, give or take." Vellis's eye stalks twitched in confusion. 300 years? The translator must be malfunctioning. "Sir, you are seriously injured. I need to know what species you are so I can treat you properly." "Human," the creature said. Then his eyes rolled back and the monitors flatlined. No, Vellis shouted. "Borix, cardiac stimulator now." The next 10 minutes were chaos of the controlled variety. The kind of organized panic that emergency medical teams turned into art. They shocked him. They injected every broad-spectrum restorative agent in the pharmacy. They manually compressed his chest in the rhythm the scanner suggested his heart should beat. Nothing worked. "Doctor, he is gone," Borix said quietly. "We need to call it." Vellis was about to agree when the automated systems chimed. A new alert flashed across every screen in the trauma bay. "Warning. Historical database match found. Species identified. Implement Protocol Epsilon 12 immediately. What in the burning stars is Protocol Epsilon 12? Vellis demanded. The main display flickered and text began scrolling across the screen. Text that made Vellis's blood run cold. Species, human. Origin, planet Earth. Sol system. Status, extinct. Confirmed extinction date, approximately 273 standard years ago. Final population estimate 0. Civilization classification lost category 5. Known for extreme resilience, unusual adaptability, refuses to die when any sane species would. Warning, standard medical treatment may prove ineffective. Consult archived xenobiology texts from the Contact Wars period. He is from an extinct species? Borix breathed. How is that possible? It is not, Vellis said flatly. Then she looked at the still form on the table. Except apparently it is. Get me those archived medical texts. Now, as Borix rushed to access the historical files, Vellis stared at her impossible patient. An extinct species. A human. She had heard stories, of course. Everyone had. The humans had been legends during the Contact Wars era, a species that had emerged onto the galactic stage with shocking speed, making allies and enemies with equal enthusiasm. They had been explorers, warriors, traders, and troublemakers, and then they had been gone. The official report said environmental collapse. Their homeworld had become uninhabitable. The colonies had been too new, too dependent on the homeworld, and they had withered and died. The humans had disappeared from the galaxy in less than a generation, their cities silent, their ships drifting empty through the void. That had been almost 3 centuries ago. So what was one doing on her medical table? Got the files? Borix announced. Doctor, these protocols are insane. Listen to this. For treatment of human patients, standard cellular regeneration should be avoided as it may trigger autoimmune cascade. Chemical coagulants may cause systemic toxicity. Energy-based healing can result in tissue rejection. Recommended treatment protocol is apparently to just keep them alive and get out of their way because their own biology will figure it out. That is not medicine, Vellis said. That is wishful thinking. It is what the file says, Borix shrugged. Then he paused. Doctor, look at the monitors. Vellis turned. Her 3 eye stalks focused independently on different readouts, then snapped together in synchronized shock. The human's heart was beating again. Faint. Irregular. But beating. That is impossible, she said. He was clinically dead for 8 minutes. According to these files, humans have survived up to 15 minutes of clinical death and made full recoveries, Borix read. There are case studies here that defy everything I learned in medical school. Vellis moved back to the table. The human's chest was rising and falling now. Shallow breaths, but breaths nonetheless. And the wounds, the ones that had been bleeding freely just minutes ago, were slowly beginning to close. His body is healing itself, she said in wonder. Without any medical intervention at all, should we just let it happen? Borix asked. We may not have a choice, Vellis replied. But let us support what his body is trying to do. Get me the old-style supplies. No advanced tech, just basic wound closure materials, sterilization equipment, fluids that match his blood chemistry as closely as possible according to these files. We are going to treat him like they did 400 years ago. As her team scrambled to comply, Vellis studied her patient more closely. Now that she knew what to look for, she could see the signs. The layered scars told a story. Burns from weapons that had not been used in the galaxy for centuries. Marks that matched descriptions of krill hunting tools. Puncture wounds consistent with Vorthang combat spikes. This human had not just survived the extinction of his species. He had survived everything that came after. The question was how. And more importantly, why was he here now? The medical bay settled into a tense quiet as the team worked with tools and techniques from another era. Vellis found herself falling into rhythms she had only read about in historical medical texts. Direct suturing. Manual wound irrigation. Old-fashioned bandaging. It felt primitive. It felt right. Hours passed. Station day cycle began outside the medical bay, but inside time moved differently. The human stabilized. Slowly. Grudgingly. As if his body was considering whether it wanted to continue the fight. Then, just as the station's artificial sun began its climb toward noon, the human's eyes opened again. This time they were clear, focused, and filled with an exhaustion that seemed to transcend mere physical injury. Still not dead, he observed. His voice was stronger now, though still rough. Disappointing. You can be disappointed when you are healthy, Vellis said firmly. Right now you are my patient, and my patients survive whether they like it or not. The human's lips twitched. Might have been a smile. Stubborn, he said. I like that, says the man who came back from clinical death, Vellis retorted. Now, you are going to tell me exactly what happened to you, starting with how someone from an extinct species ended up floating in an escape pod in my sector. The human closed his eyes. For a moment Vellis thought he might have lost consciousness again. Then he spoke, and his words carried the weight of centuries. My name is Marcus Venn. I am, as far as I know, the last human being alive in this galaxy. And the reason I am in your medical bay is because I have been running for 273 years. And I think I finally found someone who might actually be able to help me stop. Dr. Vellis Karnn had heard many confusing statements in her medical career, but this one required her to sit down. Running for 273 years, she repeated slowly. That is, and I want to be clear about this, biologically impossible. Even for humans, the maximum recorded lifespan was approximately 120 standard years. Marcus Venn's laugh was dry as vacuum dust. You are correct, doctor. It should be impossible. Tell that to the scientist who did this to me. His hand, wrapped in primitive bandages that were already showing bloodstains, moved to his chest. He tapped the skin there, and Vellis heard a sound that should not exist. A faint metallic resonance like striking a very small bell. What is that? Borix asked, his bioluminescent patches flaring bright yellow with curiosity. That, Marcus said, is why I am still alive when everyone and everything I ever knew is dead. And why I have been running across the galaxy for longer than most civilizations last. Vellis stood up, her medical instincts overriding her shock. I need to scan that. Whatever is inside you, it may be causing complications with your healing. It is not causing complications, Marcus replied. It is the reason I can heal at all. Go ahead and scan. You will need to see it to believe it anyway. Borix brought over the portable scanner, positioning it over Marcus's chest. The display flickered, adjusted, then produced an image that made Vellis's 3 eye stalks cross in confusion. Inside Marcus Venn's chest cavity, wrapped around his heart and major organs, was a network of technology unlike anything in the current medical databases. Filaments thinner than nerve fibers, nodes smaller than blood cells, an entire secondary system integrated so completely with his biology that it was impossible to tell where the organic ended and the artificial began. This is beyond current capabilities, Vellis breathed. This is beyond anything I have ever seen. That is because it is from the future, Marcus said. Or what was supposed to be the future anyway. Explain, Vellis demanded. And start from the beginning. Marcus shifted on the medical table, wincing as his wounds protested. Vellis moved to adjust his position, but he waved her off. The beginning? Fine. 300 years ago, humanity was expanding fast. Too fast, some said. We had colonies on 47 worlds. We had made contact with 200 species. We were loud, brash, and absolutely certain we were going to live forever. His voice carried a bitterness that needed no translation. Then Earth started dying. Not all at once. Slowly, the climate collapsed. The oceans acidified. Crops failed. Within 50 years it was clear that our homeworld was not going to recover. The colonies tried to prepare, but they were too new, too dependent on supplies from Earth. When Earth died, the colonies followed within a generation. The official records confirm this, Vellis said quietly. The human extinction was considered a tragedy. A tragedy, Marcus repeated. Sure, let's call it that. But here is what your official records do not know. Before the end, when it was clear we were dying, human governments started throwing resources at any project that might save the species. Cloning programs, generation ships, suspended animation, and one very secret project called Prometheus Ascendant. Borix's patches flickered. The same name as this station? Coincidence, Marcus said. Or fate? I stopped trying to figure out the difference centuries ago. Prometheus Ascendant was supposed to create a human who could survive anything. Extreme environments, radiation, vacuum. The scientists took volunteers, soldiers mostly, and started experimenting with bio-augmentation. They built these systems, he tapped his chest again, that would keep us alive no matter what. Regeneration, suspended metabolism, neural preservation, everything they could think of. How many volunteers were there? Vellis asked. 50 of us initially, Marcus said. His eyes grew distant. They called us the Eternals. Stupid name. We thought we were heroes. We thought we were going to save humanity by surviving long enough to find a cure, a new home, something. Instead, we became ghosts. The medical bay had gone completely silent. Even the monitoring equipment seemed to be listening. The augmentation worked too well, Marcus continued. We could not die. Disease could not kill us. Age could not kill us. We healed from wounds that should have been fatal, But here is the thing about being unkillable, Doctor. It does not make you invincible. It just means you experience every horrible thing that would kill a normal person, over and over without the mercy of death. Vellis felt a chill run through her circulatory system. What happened to the other 49? Dead, Marcus said flatly. One way or another, they found ways, because the human mind was not designed for immortality. The augmentation could keep our bodies alive, but our brains still followed normal patterns. Memory degradation, psychological breakdown. After the first century, most of them went insane. They found creative ways to destroy themselves completely enough that even the augmentation could not bring them back. Nuclear explosions. Flying into stars. One of them ejected himself into a black hole. But you survived, Boric said. I survived, Marcus agreed. Lucky me. I developed a protocol. Every 50 years, I would find a place to hide and go into deep hibernation. Let my mind reset, wake up, take stock, move on. It has worked for 273 years. I have outlived my species. I have outlived most of the civilizations I knew. I have watched the galaxy change in ways that would have seemed like science fiction to the people I grew up with. Why are you telling us this? Vellis asked. Marcus met her gaze with eyes that had seen far too much. Because 3 months ago I woke up from my latest hibernation cycle and I found something, a signal, buried in deep space transmissions. A pattern I recognized. He paused and Vellis saw something in his expression she had not seen before. Hope, mixed with terror. It was a Prometheus Ascendant activation code, which should be impossible, because the project was shut down 270 years ago. But someone, somewhere, has access to that technology, and they are using it. Vellis felt her primary heart accelerate. Are you saying there might be other humans? I am saying someone has the technology that made me this way, Marcus replied. And if they are using it, then either there are other survivors, or someone has found the project archives and is recreating the program. Either way, I need to know. And that is why you were in an escape pod? Oryx asked. That is why I was fleeing from a Venn destroyer that wanted me very, very dead, Marcus corrected. I tracked the signal to a black market trading station in the Outer Rim. Turns out asking questions about ancient human military programs gets you noticed by people who do not want those questions answered. I barely made it to the escape pod before they blew up my ship. He gestured at his wounds. The Venn like their energy weapons. These burns are from their latest military-grade plasma rifles. The lacerations are from hull shrapnel. The chemical scarring is from a toxin they use that is supposed to prevent regeneration. Obviously it did not work perfectly, but it hurt like hell. Vellis processed this information, her medical mind racing ahead to implications and complications. Marcus, if what you are saying is true, then you are in serious danger. The Vraden do not give up easily. And if there is someone out there with access to human augmentation technology, they will want you. You are a living example of a working prototype. I know, Marcus said. That is why I need your help. I need time to heal completely. I need access to your database archives to research the signal more thoroughly. And I need transportation to the source coordinates before someone else gets there first. This is insane, Boric said. Doctor, we cannot just let him leave. He is barely stable. Another fight like the one he just survived will kill him. No. It will not, Marcus said quietly. That is the whole problem. It will hurt. It will take time to recover, but it will not kill me. Nothing will. I have tried. The bleakness in his voice made Vellis want to wrap him in every comfort blanket in the medical bay. You said you stopped trying to die, she said gently. Why? Marcus was silent for a long moment. Because I made a promise. To the last of my friends before she finally found her way out. She said that if there was even a chance, even the smallest possibility that humanity could survive, that I had to keep going, that I could not give up as long as there was hope. He looked down at his bandaged hands. I have kept that promise for 147 years. I am tired, Doctor. So tired you cannot imagine. But if there is another human out there, or if someone is trying to recreate what was done to me, then I have to know. I have to try. Vellis made a decision that would probably get her fired, arrested, or both. Fine, you can stay here while you heal. We will access the archives together. And when you are ready, I am coming with you. Both Marcus and Boric stared at her. Doctor, this is not a medical emergency, Boric protested. This is a potential military incident. We should contact station security. Station security will turn him over to the Venn or whoever else wants him, Vellis countered. Marcus is my patient, my responsibility. And I did not spend 15 years learning to heal people just to abandon them when they need help most. Marcus's expression was unreadable. You do not know what you are volunteering for, Doctor. This could be dangerous, this could be deadly. You survived 273 years alone, Vellis said. I think you have earned the right to have someone watching your back. For the first time since he had arrived in her medical bay, Marcus Venn smiled. A real smile, not the pained grimaces or bitter twists he had shown before. Thank you, he said simply. The medical bay doors suddenly chimed. An emergency override. Vellis turned to see station security officers entering, weapons drawn. Behind them walked a figure she recognized. Commander Thale, the station security chief. A Korthan with a reputation for efficiency and a complete lack of mercy. Dr. Karnn, Commander Thale said, his throat sac inflating to project authority. Step away from the patient. He is wanted for questioning regarding terrorist activities in 3 sectors. Terrorist activities? Vellis said, positioning herself between Thale and Marcus. This man is critically injured and under my medical protection. This man is a fugitive, Thale countered. And you will surrender him now? Or you will be charged with harboring a criminal. Marcus tried to sit up, but Vellis pushed him back down. How did you even know he was here? She demanded. The Venn informed us, Thale said. They tracked his escape pod to this station. They are offering a substantial reward for his capture. Of course they are, Marcus muttered. Vellis, you should step aside. You do not want to be part of this. Too late, Vellis said. I already made my choice. She turned to face Commander Thale directly. All 3 of her eye stalks focused on him with an intensity that made even the armed security officers shift uncomfortably. Commander, as Chief Medical Officer of this station, I am invoking sanctuary protocol. This patient is under my direct care and cannot be removed from medical custody until he is deemed fit for transfer by me personally. That is station law, and it supersedes your security authority. Thale's throat sac deflated slightly. Doctor, do not make this difficult. I am not making anything difficult, Vellis replied. I am following protocol. Now, unless you want to explain to the station administrator why you violated medical sanctuary and possibly killed a patient in the process, I suggest you and your officers leave my medical bay. The standoff lasted exactly 37 seconds. Then Commander Thale turned and stalked toward the exit, his officers following. This is not over, Doctor, he called back. The Venn will not wait forever. The doors sealed behind them, and Vellis felt her legs go weak. She sat down heavily. That was either the bravest or the stupidest thing I have ever witnessed, Marcus said. Possibly both. Definitely both, Oryx agreed, his patches flashing rapid orange. Doctor, you just made an enemy of station security in the Venn. What are we going to do? Vellis looked at her impossible patient. The last human. The survivor of an extinct civilization. The man who had been running for nearly 3 centuries. We are going to find out who sent that signal, she said. And then we are going to make sure that Marcus Venn is not the last of his kind. Marcus's smile returned, tinged with something that might have been hope. Doctor, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful, terribly complicated friendship. Outside the medical bay, station alarms began to sound. The Venn were coming. Time was running out. But for the first time in 273 years, Marcus Venn was not running alone.